Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for an update on how the Signifyd product enables seamless risk assessment across the entire buyer journey. I'm Gayathri Somanath, VP of Product at Signifyd, and I am joined by Ashley, who's our Director of Product Marketing here at Signifyd as well. Our CEO, Rod, spoke earlier today about the multitude of risk assessment decisions merchants must make throughout the entire customer journey. This can range from deciding whether to introduce a step-up challenge at login to preventing abusive returns and refunds. It's not an easy trade-off that e-commerce merchants face when having to make these decisions. They need to effectively protect themselves from fraud and abuse while keeping consumer friction low and experiences seamless enough to maximize conversion and minimize cart abandonment. And the impact of fear in decision-making when a merchant has to do this alone without any processes or automation to assist definitely has customer experience and revenue consequences.
What we see most commonly is, in an effort to protect themselves from fraud and abuse, merchants start to build up walls. The fear that comes with the thought of losses inserts very real friction into that buyer journey. Account creation requirements pop up, an extra hoop for consumers to jump through. The data shows that 37% of carts are abandoned when account creation is required. That's massive drop off. 28% of carts are abandoned because the checkout process took too long, because manual review teams behind the scenes needed to take time to validate an order, and fulfillment processes couldn't kick off automatically. 48% of consumers will tell you they really don't like redirects and step-ups. Not a huge surprise there. Extra steps in the process make the customer experience feel unnecessarily lengthy and painful in a time when one-click buying experiences from Amazon are very easily accessible alternatives. What impact does that friction have on your revenue? What does it look like within your funnel? After someone has hit that buy button, that order should be fulfilled and that revenue should be captured, but not all of it is. Orders are declined at pre-authorization at the payment gateway, the card processor, declined by static rule sets built in-house or through legacy fraud prevention systems, and even after delivery through returns and chargebacks. Fraud losses, the very thing we feared that drove a lot of the friction and barrier building in the first place, typically accounts for just under 1% of a merchant's revenue. But in trying to avoid those losses, merchants routinely decline somewhere between 10 and 18% of orders and are losing out on so much more. False declines are estimated to cost US merchants somewhere between 57 billion and 102 billion annually. And that's not all, considering the lifetime value those shoppers would generate if we provided a positive experience and didn't decline their order and send them running to competitors so they can acquire the products they desire elsewhere. Data from the Signifyd Commerce Network shows historic levels of new shoppers coming online in the last year alone. These are shoppers that we haven't seen shop anywhere online else before across the thousands of Signifyd customer sites globally that make up our network. They are truly new to e-commerce. In 2020, the number of new users increased by 32% year over year. And not only did they come online to shop, they came online to spend. New users in 2020 spent 163% more than previous generations of shoppers. Average order value is up. And they turned into repeat shoppers at a much faster clip than we had previously seen before. Today's buyers, if provided a positive experience, are ripe for acquisition and retention. And from what consumers have told us, they plan to stick with habits that were formed over the last year, which means the challenges that friction imposes are not going away or going to get any easier. 80% of consumers surveyed agreed that the pandemic changed their shopping behaviors and they would shop differently in the future because of it. 50% said they'll be doing more of their shopping online. 34% will be more likely to take advantage of newly established omnichannel offerings like buy online, pickup in store or buy online, pickup curbside. Customer acquisition and retention matters now more than ever before. A seamless customer experience cannot be delivered with the rigid security barriers that come with legacy processes and delays for manual verifications or complicated authentication methods. Signifyd solution was designed to seamlessly assess risk across the buyer journey, to balance risk with potential reward, to carefully weigh convenience for the buyer and security for the seller, all in real time at scale. We call this identity-centric commerce protection. It means leveraging the context, intent, and behavior of the shopper to paint a complete picture of the situation and to predict associated risk levels in real time. With that, we can respond with just the right amount of authentication. Signifyd's Commerce Protection Platform is our complete enterprise-grade offering with solutions for every merchant use case. Powered by data generated from our commerce network, made up again of thousands of e-commerce merchants across the globe, Signifyd's machine learning engine is able to identify shoppers as fraudulent or abusive instantly. In 98% of cases, we've seen that shopper before, purchasing product from a variety of other merchant sites. Our revenue protection solution shifts liability completely for merchants by backing order decisions with 100% financial chargeback guarantee. Our abuse prevention solution extends that protection even further beyond payment fraud to prevent legitimate consumers from taking advantage of merchant policies as well. And our payments optimization solution fine-tunes payment journeys through intelligent analysis and routing to influence bank authorization rates and push them to the max, which Gayathri will dive deeper into in just a second. Taken together, the Signifyd platform and solutions maximize realized revenue for brands and retailers and provide one comprehensive solution for fearless commerce.
Thanks, Ashley. So Ashley just took us through our commerce protection platform, and our product focus is to further expand the use cases for seamless risk assessment within this platform. And in the near term, there are two key solutions that we are launching. The first is extending our post-fulfillment abuse prevention capabilities to refunds and returns abuse. And the second is payments optimization solutions, where our risk evaluation capabilities added to the payment authorization and checkout flows can enable higher authorization rates and conversion rates. And just as much as we focus on helping you improve your customer experience for your consumers, we also want to deliver the best experience to our own customers. And so we have several key updates across our modules: Insights, the Agent Console, and Decision Center. Post-fulfillment abuse consists of abuse from buyers that can happen once the product has been shipped or fulfilled. Signifyd's complete chargeback protection offering provides protection from all abuse chargebacks, like item not received or significantly not as described, and offers both a guarantee as well as representment services to win back abuse as well as a friendly fraud. However, post-fulfillment abuse does not stop at chargebacks. Abusive refund claims into customer service before a chargeback is filed is becoming a growing problem, and as is abusive returns like shipping back empty boxes or wardrobing behavior. Turning away a customer at this point in the journey has serious customer lifetime value consequences, and the ability to assess the risk level in real time when a request is initiated can both stop revenue leakage as well as prevent insulting good customers. Decision Center as a policy engine enables management of the business policies and workflows that are applied based on the risk recommendation. So what's our recipe for an abuse risk recommendation? The foundational and most powerful ingredient is our Signifyd Commerce Network, with thousands of merchants resulting in billions of transactions and events that have data and feedback loops across the purchase journey. We can link and identify the good versus the abusive behavior when looking at a return or a refund attempt in real time. Historical data is especially powerful when looking at a customer that doesn't have a lot of history or any history at all with a single merchant, but does exist in our network. I briefly mentioned the Decision Center platform, and the risk indicators from our network is made available within the Decision Center, which is a self-serve platform for managing business policies and workflows via a easy-to-use, intuitive user interface. The ability to customize policies when it comes to risk assessments for abuse is a critical capability because business policy management for abuse is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It varies based on vertical, order sizes, order channels, and so much more. Let's take an example of how this varies. An omni-channel retailer may choose to force abusive consumers to return in store because they have that channel available to them for an in-store associate to check the contents of the return before accepting it. While a digital-only retailer does not have this option and will either have to check the package upon return or receipt in their warehouse or perhaps reject it altogether. And even when deciding to reject altogether, there can be business policy differences. Retailer A may decide to enforce a 3 strikes you're out policy, or after 3 abusive returns, the buyer is temporarily blocked from returning, while retailer B has a 0 tolerance policy and 1 offense and they're out. Merchants know their customers and experience the best, and we know the risk level. And Decision Center allows merchants to make informed, automated decisions on how much friction they want to introduce in the customer journey as a result of the risk level. The platform also allows users to easily test and simulate policies before deploying so that they can ensure that acceptance rates are as high as possible, but still stopping the leakage. The outcome of the policies are integrated into our API so that any updates instantly work with merchant workflows. Make sure you catch the product unveil session later today that will provide a much deeper dive into the refunds and returns abuse solution with a product demo that includes Decision Center. Our second area of product focus are payments optimization solutions. That is optimizing both authorization rates and conversion rates at checkout. In the past, it's been more prevalent for fraud reviews to be applied after payment authorization. This was the optimal scenario to support manual review flows and limit the impact to checkout SLAs. Sub 1 second decision speeds and the accuracy of automated decisions has opened up the ability to do enhanced fraud reviews pre-authorization. And this step is a pretty significant place at which auth rates and conversion rates do drop. Payment optimization applies our machine learning engine and payment fraud detection to an earlier stage of the checkout before the transaction is sent forward for authorization. We can determine which transactions are likely to be accepted at authorization, allowing merchants to then intelligently route the transactions to directly to authorization or to a step-up process like 3DS if it looks like it's high risk. This ultimately enables a higher percentage of orders to be accepted. And by preventing payment failures before they happen, merchants save on costly authorization fees. And also by sending dramatically cleaner traffic and our risk decisions to issuers and banks, merchants can squeeze more revenue out of every transaction through higher authorization rates. The PSD2 regulation in Europe also poses a new challenge to merchants with the amount of friction it introduces with customer authentication requirements that will affect conversion rates. And it's definitely the opposite of a seamless risk experience. But our seamless SCA solution addresses these experience issues while providing the features to be PSD2 compliant. A frictionless payment experience with exemption management, as well as delegated authentication features and also 3DS step-ups when needed to manage the evaluation of risk with as little friction as possible. And as a fraud provider, Signifyd does have a unique position within this solution because we can apply our payment fraud detection within the payment authorization flow to manage these exemptions and take on the liability shift, thereby only pushing what absolutely requires a 3DS step up when high risk. And this is a win-win because merchants are compliant. They get the liability shift from Signifyd for all exemptions or anything not covered by 3DS without the added friction and impact to conversion rates. We've talked about two key use cases within the customer journey and the importance of the data that builds our commerce network as an input to these decisions. So how do we integrate with merchants to process the data we need to make a decision at each step in the journey? Our REST APIs and SDKs provide integrations across the purchase journey to bring this data into our commerce network. And as you can see on this slide, there is an API for each event that will then trigger a decision request to Signifyd for that step of the journey. The API response will return the decision or recommendation to be taken on that event, and then that recommendation is easily integrated into workflows within an e-commerce store. Our device fingerprinting and behavior tracking scripts and SDKs enable us to leverage behavioral data patterns across our entire commerce network of shoppers and sellers. Device fingerprinting enables recognition of a device through the analysis of device characteristics, and behavior tracking is the recognition of patterns derived from a consumer's behavior on the site itself and analyzes activity like typing speed and cadence, mouse tracking, that's clicks and movements, and time spent on the page. And together, these device and behavioral patterns are very powerful indicators of a digital entity as it relates to an e-commerce transaction or event. Last but not least, we have some exciting updates to our product module. Our Insights module has just released an update to include reporting for chargeback recovery and is now available to all our customers who have purchased this product. Chargeback Recovery Insights is a one-stop shop to view high-level overviews and dive deeper into the outcomes of your chargeback representment service from Signifyd, and provides merchants with the most up-to-date metrics to measure the ROI that you are getting from this offering. And our Agent Console is getting a makeover. Updates to the Agent Console include extended search and filter capabilities, easier navigation and review workflows, as well as usability improvements like accessibility features and a responsive design. The beta release is now open for participation, and over to you, Ashley, to provide more details on the beta sign-up process, as well as the upcoming product sessions today before we wrap up.
Yes, absolutely. The beta program for Agent Console is officially open. So if you would like to be a part of that program and have your voice heard directly by the team that is rebuilding our Agent Console now, go to signifyd.com/beta and register. You'll get early access to new features that have yet to be released and special perks and rewards for being a part of our beta community here at Signifyd. And if you are interested in learning more about Decision Center, reach out to your customer success manager directly. They would be happy to tell you more about how Decision Center can help with your unique abuse case. And finally, we have some really powerful sessions up next that you won't want to miss. Our Senior Vice President of Decision Science, Swami, is going to be opening up the hood and diving into Signifyd's machine learning models to share how we really make decisions on orders at scale. He'll elaborate on some of the different approaches you can take to machine learning for fraud prevention and why they are not all created equal. Then our Director of Business and Strategy Analytics, Pranav, will be joined by our Director of Product Design, Mariana, and they will be officially unveiling our new return abuse prevention solution, which is going to be a great session you won't want to miss. Abusive returns have been seen for a really long time as just the cost of doing business for merchants, but with the right level of intelligence and again, weighing that risk and reward like we spoke about, they don't have to be. So drop by to see how we are solving that $43 billion a year problem for US merchants alone. So that's all we've got for you today. Thank you all so much for attending. If there are any other questions, please feel free to reach out. We are always happy to continue the conversation. Thank you so much. Have a great day.